Yo, yo, yo. Hey, what's up? All right, I'm live. Let me start sending out some invites. How's everybody doing? Hold on. Let me send this to the group. I just got off another call um, for a program that I'm on. You guys just let me know if you can hear me. I'm going to start sending out some invites to my guests. Hopefully, she's able to make it on. And let's just get to rambling and stumbling and bumbling and doing all that good stuff. So I hope everybody's okay. I hope everybody's feeling okay. Wondering Woman, how's it going? I'm going to send out some invites. So I actually, hey, I just got off on this call for this MBA program that I just started. Hold on, let me get my notebook. And all right, I hope you guys can hear me. And I hope that I'm able to convey what I want to convey because it's been pretty interesting. It's been pretty interesting since the last time we talked. So, since the last time we've talked, I've gained an affinity for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I'm training out of Gracie Baja off West Chase starting this week. Very awesome. What's going on this week? It would be week 3. It would be week 3 of my training. And what's interesting about Gracie Baja Jiu Jitsu, I hope I'm saying it correctly, and somebody will probably let me know if I'm not, is they go in weeks. For the fundamental class, weeks 1 through 16, where they go through the basics. They show you, it's broken down into like class A, class B, and then there's like a self-defense portion of it. And I'm learning something about myself and watching it. So the type of learner that I am, and if you guys can't hear me, somebody let me know. The type of learner that I am, I realize that when somebody's teaching me something kinetic with my hands, I zone out, right? Completely zone out and start doodling and looking to the sky because I know that I don't learn that way. I'm the type of person that I have to, I don't know, I kind of like when it's something to do with my hands, I have to watch it step by step and write down the steps first. And maybe it's because I like to read so much. I don't know. But I have to write down the steps step by step and then play them out step by step before I'm able to actually commit them to memory. Why? Don't know. That's just the way I am. But I've come to accept it. But what's great about jujitsu is that's actually perfect for me because they have a ton of videos. So right now I'll be going over scissor sweeps, pulling the close guard, and the arm bar from the ground. So pretty excited about that. Yesterday, what did I do yesterday? I got my hair done. I've also realized there's not really a masculine way to say that you got your hair done. Like I got my hair did. Oh, yep. You know what? My homeboy just told me to shoot the link. I'm shooting it to you right now. Um, there's really no masculine way to say that you got your hair did or done. Um, as you can see, the name of this show, I know I'm cute, thank you. Um, the name of this particular show is Tame Thy Tongue eh, for a number of reasons. So, in the MBA program that I started, and yes, you can tell I'm pretty proud of it because I keep referring back to it, they had us do this thing called a Winslow assessment. And basically, it's your personality traits, the broke nurse. It's your personality traits broken down in different groups, 4 different groups: interpersonal traits, organizational traits, dedication traits, and self control traits. And what was the most interesting about my Winslow compared to some of my other cohorts is things, there was no in between. It was either wildly to the right or wildly to the left. And in between, they have these things called interrelatable traits. So let's see how to explain it. Okay, I'll give you a good example. I scored a 10 on flexibility and creativity, but I scored a 2 in self control, right? And I also scored a 2 in coachability. Well, coachability and control, wait, and also I scored a 10 on boldness, right? So if my coachability is already a 2, if you add in a boldness of 10, that might actually make my coachability a 1. I also scored a 10 on assertiveness, a 9 on endurance, endurance being the mental fortitude to push through and to succeed at something, even though my ambition is only a 5, which I can believe. My leadership is a 6, but once again, you add in assertiveness and boldness that obviously pushes it up. Composure, how well I do under stress, 10, not surprised. Tough mindedness, a 9, not surprised. Autonomy, how much I like to be free, a 10. Contentment, how pleased I am with my life, a 3. Once again, not surprised. I like a lot of change all the time. Alertness, an 8, which basically means my mental acumen, how smart I am, and how my ability to gain and retain knowledge. Sociability, an 8, how social I am. If anybody on the call knows me, you know that's accurate. Exhibition, how out there I am, 9. This one was this one was interesting. Trust, it was a 2. I don't trust nobody. So like according to this test. So it was really interesting. But in saying all these things, it led me in today's topic, which is taming of thy tongue. Because I've started to realize that I react. If somebody says something to me that I don't like, I react to it. I don't like, you anybody in the corporate role, you get that email from somebody that's real passive aggressive, and you just want to like, oh, okay, well, this is what we're doing. And then you start to typing away, clickety clacketing. Well, I'm trying to get better with that. And in addition to not only taming what's going out of my mouth, I'm reclaiming what's, never mind. I'm not going to say it because some of y'all are perverted. But I'm trying to once again be more mindful of what I eat, going back to intermittent fasting, which is really good as far as glucose control and controlling the ups and downs of your body. So really, and my guest just called in. She has some issue with her her kids, which is cool. That's nothing to worry about because I'm the one that pushed back the time, so it'll be all right. But so I'm really going back to working on what I eat and what I say, because at the end of the day, even if you don't have control over any, and you guys can call in if you want, even if you don't have any control over anything else in your life, no matter what anybody says, you actually have control of both of those two things. You don't want to allow people to have the ability to press your buttons, right? So, in saying all that, I've been practicing something called emotional regulation. My wife sent this to me, and I'll send it. And I will not send it to you guys. I'll explain it to you guys. So, something happens to you. The first thing you need to do is identify the emotion. Start to ask yourself, what is it that I'm feeling right now? For example, somebody cut you off in traffic. Sit down for a second and say, I'm pissed off. Well, why exactly am I pissed off? The next thing, well, not why am I pissed off, just what emotion am I feeling? Boom, target that first. The next thing you want to do is witness. And what I mean by witness, how you immediately react to situations when you feel nervous, anxious, or overwhelmed by guilt or judgment. I'm sorry. So when you get angry, and they teach you this in Sama, but forget about Sama. So when you get angry or any of those other things, what I would want you to do and what I'm actively practicing is to not react and to sit with the emotion and really just, hey, Bobby, and really just pay attention to how you feel when that emotion kicks in. There's a book I talked about last time called The Body Keeps the Score. Really good book, and it really hits on these topics. And this is what they talk about: is my heart beating faster? Are my palms sweaty? It, and that works in two different ways, right? Because once you identify how you physically feel when an emotion hits, you can now realize that it's a cue. And what I mean by that is, say you get in an argument with your spouse. If you start to cue in on your emotions, you're like, wait a second, my palms are getting sweaty again. My heart's beating fast. And even though this person asked me, am I mad? And I said no, all the bodily cues that I've been identifying over the last month are telling me different. Well, why is that? So the next thing, after identify, after witness, the next one is pause. Learn to pause before going into an automatic reaction. Deep breathing helps. Now, this is really an important thing to do. And if you guys can hear me or can't hear me, let me know. This is a incredibly, incredibly important and powerful thing to do for people who have been in bad relationships. And you're like, why? Well, excuse me for eating. Being in a bad relationship, if you look at the clinical definition, is a form of PTSD, especially, excuse me, if you've been in a number of them. Because after just like really sitting with myself, really, really just sitting with myself and thinking back to some of the relationships, not just ones that are, say, romantic, but even some friendships where I was taken advantage of. I used to always ask the question, why are people doing me this way? But now, after some reflection, I realized this entire time I was asking the wrong question. The right question to ask was, why was I allowing myself to be treated this way? Because in reality, people can only do something to you once. And it's not about getting played that makes you get played. It's how you react to getting played. You could beat me out of 100, 150, 200,000, whatever. I just won't give you any more. But back to what I was saying. So, Tony Tone, what's going on? So, a lot of times when you're somebody who's been in a series of bad relationships, if something happens, and this goes back to the point about PTSD, if something happens in your current relationship that mimics, looks like something that happened in the past, you react, right? And it's akin to seeing a dog, whether it's a Doberman or a little Shih Tzu. Well, it's a dog and they're showing their teeth. And what people don't realize when you've had these number of poor relationships, you overreact. You overreact so bad that you don't realize that after dealing, that you become the toxic person. No, and I wrote down earlier last year when I was going through a lot of struggles that nobody wants to see that they're the bad guy in the movie. Like, we always, justify our actions and say why it's okay. And that's why keeping a journal is so important, because sometimes when you write down the things that you've done, doing, or in the process of doing, you realize that somehow, somewhere along the way, in fighting these monsters, in fighting the opposition, you've changed yourself. You've turned yourself. But we'll get back to that. So, identify the emotion. What is it that I'm feeling right now? Witness the emotion. How you feel when it's happening. I can tell the difference between I'm actively journaling when I don't. It's a powerful tool. I had a buddy of mine that I was talking to about journaling, and the way that I consider journaling I call it the invisible audience, right? So, a lot of times, especially when you're younger, you make decisions based off how you feel this invisible audience of people is going to react. People that you can't even quantify, right? And this is what you do. It's a really odd thing. You'll go to make a decision, whatever it is. I don't know. Make a decision at work, right? And you'll hesitate because you'll be like, I wonder what people are going to say about it. The interesting thing is, you don't have any particular people in mind. And when I thought about that, I'm like, what? And then I dug a little bit deeper into the thought. And then I started to realize I was worried what people that didn't like me were going to say about the decision I made. And I think everybody, if they're being honest, can say the same. Because the people that you support, that support you, you don't really, unless you're doing something crazy, you don't really think about what the people that you care about are going to say. You're concerned about what the people that are going to talk about you anyway are going to say, which is retarded. So going back to the journal entry, that's when you are writing in a journal and being 100% honest. Well, now that invisible audience is yourself. You get to see your actions with, if you're, once again, I had the same issue, Wondering Woman, not being 100% honest. And we're really good at lying to ourselves. But if you can be brave enough to write down in your journal what you're actually feeling, like if you actually write it down and you put it out there for yourself to witness what you're not only doing, but what you're actually thinking, it's tough. It's a really difficult thing to do, to be honest with self. So let's keep going. Identify emotions, witness, pause. And there's the next one. And this is the one most of us struggle with, especially those of us with a hot-headed streak. After you pause, witness how the emotions passes. Strong emotions come and go all day long. We don't need to react to each emotion. And that's something, and I thought about this, and this is specifically for Black men. Who teaches us how to regulate emotions and show them outside of anger? And the way that we're taught, for those who don't know, the way that a Black man is taught to express anger is quick, fast, and brutal. You're supposed to jump right to anger, because if you don't, you're seen as something else, not as masculine. I don't know about other people. I can't speak to other people's upbringings, but Sir Eli, what's going on? That's not the way to operate. Because if you do that, if you react to every emotion that somebody puts in front of you, you'll be reacting all day. When a person of power realizes that in controlling your emotions and once you realize that if you don't allow anybody to dictate how you respond to an action, well, then you have all the power. Because you have control of self. They might call you whatever, but having and you can just see it. Like if you see two people arguing and one person's just going nuts and flailing their hands and the other person's just sitting there cool and calm, who do you perceive to be in control? From the outside looking in. And and going on. So identify emotions, witness, pause, let it pass. And the last step, stop self-shaming. People who struggle to regulate their emotions tend to be very harsh or critical, as a parent was, and that's in parentheses, to themselves. So the mantra is, I can handle difficult emotions. I am strong and proud of me. And that kind of goes back into that previous one. And this is a statement that I hate. I've stopped using it because I believe it's a condescending statement. When you tell somebody your issue, right? I'm eating because I got to eat. When you tell somebody your issue and they don't agree with how you handle it, even though it's your life, what is the most patronizing, and condescending thing somebody can say? Oh, you better than me. I hate that statement because they're really making you feel less than. And once again, it's usually surrounding the fact that if I was basically what that is alluding to is if I was you, I would have responded with violence. That's 9 times out of 10, or cursing at somebody or doing something emotionally driven. That is generally what that statement means. Correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, you could, but I wouldn't really care. So that's it. That's really what I've been really trying to do, practicing, regulating, letting emotions come, because what I've come and just pass through, because what I've traditionally done, which has been really bad, I guess that didn't sound too technical, is really just instead of letting emotion pass through, what I would historically do is lie to myself, tell me that the thing that was occurring didn't bother me, and I would shove it down, right? Shove it just way down. And the thing about shoving stuff like that down is, and I can tell anybody on this call, it is going to re-manifest in a different way. Almost to the point, and for my medical professionals out there, you can agree, it can even come out as a physical symptom. But that's a whole different podcast for a whole different time. Let's switch subjects because, that's something that I like to do. Going back to jujitsu. So I'd taken a break from work. I'm walking around. I'm walking to Walmart. It's pretty far away. Maybe a mile from my job. But, I'm trying to just shake off that mid-afternoon slump. I'm walking over there. I'm going over some moves that I got for next week. Well, and going over the moves for next week, I sit there and I'm just like, dang, why did I stop doing this as a kid? I really like this. And then instead of just letting that thought pass, I sat there for a second and processed it. And then I started realizing that even though I'd always liked it, I started letting life get in the way. I started thinking about other things, girls, and doing other things, right? And that's when the meaning of life hit me. Boom. So the meaning of life is that you have to agree to your purpose. You have to agree to it. Because we all know what it is, right? But the difference is agreeing to it and saying, yeah, this is what I am. Not what I want, what I need. This is what I am. Like for me, I've always been an orator. I've always liked to speak. When I was in 5th grade, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I've always been an athlete. I've always wanted to fight. Those things have never changed. And when I was explaining this to my wife, I even said this. There's not a person on the planet, and I'm willing to accept the challenge, that hasn't uttered these words. Yeah, I used to like doing X as a kid. I don't know why I stopped. Everybody. You have that thing that you liked. I didn't say you were good at it, that you just like doing. And somewhere along the road, you just stopped doing it. Well, your soul will always be uneasy if you don't agree to your life's purpose. It's always going to be out of whack. You're always going to be searching for an answer that you already have. I was talking to a friend of mine from the Qualified Podcast. Me and my brother did a podcast 2 weeks ago about our fathers. And we were talking about hierarchies, right? And he said something to the effect of, like, the hierarchies are there. Some people are on top, some people are on bottom. And to a degree, I get it, because society you need a king, you need a trash man, so on and so forth. But this was my counter to that. I believe that everybody has something that they're a master at. The difference between regular people and those who excel, it's a simple one. The people that excel, all they simply do is agree to it. That's it. The common person, 98% of the human population, even though they know what their soul's task is, they don't agree to it. They think it's bigger than who they are or who they ever could be. So they just stop it. But you got this small segment of people who agree to what is their soul's journey. Jerry Rice, he was slower than everybody. He was very slow when it came to football terms. Tom Brady, 6th-round draft pick. Think about that. Tom Brady, it's simply that's the only separation. Because once you make that agreement with yourself that this is who I am, it changes things. It changes things a lot. Like for me, I went out this year for the first time in a very long time, and I bought 2 things: a notebook and a planner. And in the notebook and planner, I've been making schedules, writing things out. And when I write these things out, all of a sudden, the task doesn't seem overwhelming. I realize what I want to do. For example, I've determined, and even though I'm told not to do this, but it's just how I am, that I would like to be a blue belt in jiu-jitsu in 2 to 3 years, right? Well, here's the thing. Why is writing it down an important and powerful piece? Because my dad used to tell me this shit, excuse my language, all the time. And I thought he was just being hokey. Well, this is why. Because it appeals to the invisible audience, right? Which is yourself. And when you write it down, well, then it puts your brain to work. And I was even thinking about this, but I'll come back to it. It puts your brain to work. If you write down, I want to be, and it has to be quantifiable and measurable, SMART goals, what they call it. I want to be a blue belt in 2 years. Well, all of a sudden that changes things. Well, how do you do it? Well, I guess I'd have to go to the gym more often, and I'd have to eat better, and maybe I have to talk to the coach, and maybe I'd have to watch videos and get better, as opposed to I just want to get good at jiu-jitsu, or I just want to be a white belt at jiu-jitsu forever, because that guy can do everything. So, Rad, what's going on? So that guy can do anything. If you don't write down your goals, it does a couple of things. It doesn't make them real, and then it helps you not be overwhelmed by them, because just saying that I want to be a blue belt can seem overwhelming, but writing down what I believe are the steps, the measurables to become that thing, it changes it. I don't know how to say that. Vizigesh Yashish has joined. It changes so much. Just writing down what you want, and honestly writing it down. I started reading this book. Hey, what's going on, Rad?
How you doing, brother?
I'm all right. Just spilling a little bit, letting people know what's going on in my life.
I hear you.
Yeah. So I read a book. You mind putting yourself on mute for me for 1 second, sir? And I'll make this last point, and I'll definitely let you So I just finished reading this book, and then I'm gonna let Rad hop on. Uh, I think it's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I read a couple of his books, and it asks you to do this task, and I'll read it out to you. And it's goals of things I want to do. So this is how it's read. I would like, and you make up the number. I said $500,000 in the next 4 years in my bank account. I will give my time to podcasting, speaking engagements, T-shirts, and artwork. I already have the money. By the first day of January 2027, I will have in my possession $500,000, which will come to me in various times during the interim. In return for this money, I will give the most efficient service of which I am capable of rendering. The fullest possible quantity and best possible quality of service in the capacity of sales of my artwork, my podcasts, speaking engagements, and T-shirts. I believe that I will have this money in my possession. My faith is so strong that I can see this money before my eyes. I can touch it with my hands. I'm only waiting its transfer. And then I'm gonna unmute you. Oh, wait, I can't unmute you. See if you can unmute yourself. And the reason why this is so powerful, the moment I might have to disconnect you and call back. I don't know why it won't let me unmute you. The moment that I wrote this down, like literally the moment, my brain got to work. My brain got to work. Call back in, Rad. My brain got to work and started saying, well, how can I make this happen? And that had never, I actually started thinking about how would I make $500,000 in 4 years from those things? I don't know the answer. I just wrote this down today, but it set my brain into motion. And that's when it started to make me really realize if you center your brain around bullshit, negativity. Hey, what's up, man? Bullshit, negativity. Your brain is task oriented. It can only focus on what you give it. It can only solve what you give it to solve. For example, I tell people all the time, you can see a line from when I met my wife, success-wise, to where I'm at now. Would I have gotten there by myself? Probably. But here's the thing, and this is why I'm saying why it's so powerful for people to get married, especially young men. When you're a man, you spend so much time chasing ass. A lot of it. So much of it is ridiculous. Well, what if you took that off the table? Where does that energy go? It doesn't have really any choice but to go to success. Because think about it. If all you're sitting there thinking about is booty, 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 you'll get just that. Why else? What else would that's all your brain is tasked to do. Darius, to call in and speak, you do need headphones. Sometimes it requires that. Try calling in again. Anybody, the lines are open. That was the end of my rant. I didn't mean to call in. All right, you trash. Very awesome. How's it going?
Check.
Check.
1, 2. What it do? What's going on, man?
Nothing much. Rad, are you there? Rad's calling in. We got a full house.
No.
There he is.
I got disconnected. I don't know what happened.
No. So I put you on mute, but for some reason, the way that this works, when you put somebody on mute, it doesn't give you an option to unmute, only disconnect. So, in case you guys didn't hear, the topic of today was taming thy tongue. Really working on emotional regulation. Really trying to tap in to who you are, not who you perceive yourself to currently be. If somebody has a TV on, could you turn it down just a little bit?
That's probably me.
Okay.
Today's Sunday, and Sundays I always return my son to his mother's house.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm actually driving back from doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I was a little late coming to the podcast because I
No
was
worries.
dropping them off and saying my goodbyes. And
Gotcha.
yeah, that's funny. Taming your tongue. That's a hard thing for me, bro.
Right.
It's something that I've had to learn how to do as I've gotten older. I've gotten a lot better at it, mind you. But it's definitely one of my shortcomings in life is watching my mouth. You know, it's important.
What have you been
But
doing
true.
to work on that?
Well, to work on that, one thing is you have to acknowledge that your tongue is a problem. You know what I mean? Sometimes people feel, and you'll meet people in life that feel like their opinion is needed everywhere. You know, that was definitely me in my younger years. I felt like everybody needed to know what I thought about things. You know what I mean? And that's something that like I've genuinely had to work on as I've gotten older. It's just not everybody really cares. Even if you're right, even if you know in your heart of hearts you're right, not everybody cares what you think. And like I used to take that personally. I didn't realize, as an older man, I realized that it isn't, always personal. Sometimes people just believe as they believe, and they're gonna believe what they believe regardless of what you have to say about it.
Well,
And that's one of those things that like I've definitely had to, and not even in an advisory situation. Sometimes just it's better not to say something even though you feel like you should, which is another hard lesson that I've picked up early in life. Especially like I said, like dealing with my son's mother. The reason me and her have such a good relationship is because I learned how to shut up. I learned how to just, I'm happy for you in your life. I don't need to chime in on anything, that kind of a thing. And it's gotten to the point now that me and her were very good because we respect each other's boundaries as people, and we definitely support each other, to the best of our abilities. But we just, it is what it is, man. I mean, I'm mouthy. I'm Puerto Rican. I do a lot of talking. I do more talking than your average bear probably, but I've learned to just kind of put my opinion where it's asked. And it's been very helpful for me.
so the thing about that and why it's so important, and what a lot of people don't realize, is that nobody likes unsolicited advice, right? And you would think that, oh, I'm just giving this person my opinion. Yeah. But did they ask you for it? And if they didn't ask you for it, I've now realized that the only time that I'm going to give my opinion, if it's unasked, if it's a life or death situation, like I'm some way to regulate the sound. Tony, can you put yourself on mute? There's a lot of background noise from your.
Oh yeah, hold on a second. How do I do that?
I'm not sure.
There. Well, here, you can drop me off for a second. I'll stay on the line.
Yeah, well, let me see if I can put you on mute and let's see if it actually allows me to bring you back. Bottom right. Let me try that again. It will me. It's really weird. It allowed me to mute people, but it won't let me like bring them back. Yeah, it's just odd. Maybe it's because I'm doing it from my iPad, but we'll figure all that stuff out one day, near future. Yeah, I don't know what the hell's wrong. Anyway, um, I'm always a quiet guy. That's just how I am. How's that? Does it sound a little bit better? I can turn myself up. I have the power to do so. Nobody likes unsolicited advice. Nobody on the planet, even if you're coming from a place of good intentions, of what you perceive to be good intentions, if they don't want to hear, if they're not ready to receive what you have to say, they're going to get mad with you. So the only time I give anybody advice, as of right now, they have to ask me. And I'll even double down. Somebody says, hey, what do you think? Do you really want to know? Yes, I really want to know. Okay, I'm going to tell you the truth. Are you okay with that? Oh, yeah, I am. At that point, I'm okay with being brutally honest. But if somebody's telling me an issue about their relationships, I'm just going to listen. I'm just going to listen. Unless they tell me, I don't know, she was about to shoot me last night. I'm like, whoa there, chief. Hold on now. That's dangerous. But even if it's like to where you're about to lose a great deal of money, that's not that it's not my issue. You didn't ask me. So, because let me tell you something, especially with relationships, I've had this happen to me so many times. It's really, really aggravating. Person A comes to me with an issue that they're having. Me, with my poor tongue taming, I tell them, yeah, man, fuck them. Right? I say, fuck them. Well, then what do? They go back to person B, significant other, and be like, yeah, Donaldson said, fuck them. And then these two fools stay together. Broken Nurse, what's going on?
What's going on, man?
Yeah, nothing much. What's going on with you, man?
Just walked off the unit for a little bit.
Okay, anything to talk about with this particular topic?
I'm listening to you, and we talked about it before.
Yeah.
The unsolicited advice is
Yeah,
a no-go.
I don't give it. It's always a no-go,
man.
Because it never goes anywhere.
Not never. They low-key people, when they quote want advice, they want like the unadulterated truth. They just want to hear their truth. They want to hear what makes them feel good.
Yep.
Whatever helps them give out. How you doing today? All right. You know the way out? Okay. Sorry about that. They want affirmation. Like, yeah, I'm not tripping. Yeah, of course she's an absolute bitch. Like, and then next week they'll be back good, and it's like you the bad guy. So
no, you are the bad guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're the bad guy, and now the person's so embarrassed by what they've shared with you, with their partner. Now they don't talk to you anymore either. So you've accomplished nothing, and you think, well, I just told them what. You didn't fix shit. You didn't fix anything. What's that?
You know what? That's why, I was actually thinking about this the other day about advice. And I think I was talking to my mother about that. And, I joked with her because, I was telling her, I forgot the situation. But even more times than none, I know people are going to come to me for advice. And, me, no matter what I do, I'm kind of at odds. So I give them my advice and I let them know that you made the decision to take my advice. I didn't say, and I always try to make sure that I let them know that might not work out for you, or you know what I'm saying. And more times than none now, especially in my older age, I tell them what they need to hear instead of what they want to hear anyway. You know what I'm saying? So that. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and cut to the chase. So that I'm blameless. You know what I'm saying? Because if they're going to go do something against what I'm saying, anyway, at least I told them the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying?
Like I said, I will only give it that advice if asked. It's blown up in my face. She knows her man ain't shit. Yeah. Most of the times people know exactly who their partner is. Romantic and regular, friendships. And I tell people all the time, if you're really being honest with self and really paying attention to a person and how they move, there's really no surprise there. There's really not like I gave this example to my wife yesterday. If you saw DMX, if you had a 5-minute clip of each of these individuals, 5-minute clip of DMX, a 5-minute clip of Barack Obama, and I just said, okay, who do you think of these two individuals has the most baby mamas? Would it really be a surprise? If I said, which one of these two guys has gone to jail? Would it really be a surprise? And because what I've started to realize, when I really sat down there and think about it, the line between a good woman and a bad woman is big as fuck. It's huge line. It's not like it's a secret. People don't hide who they are really well. Like, when I really sat back and looked at some of my previous relationships, all the flags were there. Everything, even down to their associations. Somebody that I know was telling me about a friend of his. His current woman has an affiliation with some very interesting women. And if you know, like I know, You can tell a lot by people's friendships, especially women, because guys are a little bit different, right? You could have a politician, a pastor, and a pimp could all be best friends. But for women, I see it's a little bit different. And what I mean by that is women don't like being associated with certain women because it feels like they'll tarnish their image. So you should really look at the group of friends that the person has and hear how they deal with difficult situations and what they'll allow and what they think is okay. I'm talking to the guys. Because what somebody thinks is okay for somebody else, they're going to think it's okay to do it to you.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And, that goes to saying when people tell you who they are, believe them. So, and this is off men or women, this is general. When you run into somebody that's a gossip,
Where are you, Chris?
that's a thief,
We need you.
that's a gossip,
Man won the fight.
that's a thief, I can guarantee you that given enough time, it's going to be you that they're gossiping about. It's going to be you that they're stealing from. Because the way that, and this has happened time and time again, you run into somebody and they'll tell you, let me put you on mute, Chris.
Yeah, we need him.
And they'll tell you, oh, my ex was so-and-so. They were horrible. They were crazy. They were this. They were that. And you're like, I can't believe it. I can't believe that this person would treat you this way, right? And then you get into the relationship a little bit more. Things start coming out. And then you start acting erratic. And the reason that you're acting erratic is because of this person's behavior. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, things that they said about the other person, they start saying about you. Oh, you're controlling. And going back to that controlling thing, maybe 2 relationships previous before I met my wife, I had women tell me I was controlling. And I didn't get it because if you know me, that's far off from me. I'm real chill. Maybe too chill. But for the most part, do your thing, I'll do my thing, and we're cool. But then I started to realize what the problem was. It wasn't that I was controlling them. I was controlling self. Example. Hey, Donaldson, I'm going to slap you. That's fine. If you slap me, I'm going to knee you in the chin. Hard. Oh, that's wrong. Well, no, I'm not telling you that you can't slap me. I'm telling you there is a consequence to what you do, i.e., you want to have a bunch of male friends. I don't date women with male friends, a bunch of them. Oh, that's messed up. Okay, that's fine. And I'm not even telling you that you can't. You can have as many as you want. But what I am telling you is I'll never take you serious. Oh, that, whatever. This is me. People will tell you all kinds of stuff in an attempt to gaslight you into doing what they want you to do. One of the things, one of the funny things that I remember is somebody told me, and when I figured this out, like, that thing, well, a real man would do X, X, and X. And then one day I was like, why is it when somebody says a real man would do X, X, and X, you're trying to convince me to do something I don't want to do? That was one of them aha moments when I realized you get to make the decisions that you want to make and be who you want to be. So the people that I put on mute, I don't know how to unmute you, so I'm going to disconnect you. But call back in. I've done my spiel, and I'll leave it open. You guys can talk about taming of the tongue. You guys can talk about your soul's purpose. So, very awesome. If you have anything to say, do you know what yours is? Do you know what you feel that you were put on this earth to do if money didn't exist? Call in. Talk to me. Holla at me. Rad, you back?
I'm gonna say this as far as like what you're saying about the gaslighting and people trying to get you to do stuff. I agree with that. I feel like I'm glad that I'm an older man in this day and age now. You know what I mean? I feel bad for my son, who is going to be 13 this year, and him having to become a man in this environment, because I feel like manipulation has become part of the deal. You know what I mean? Like if you look at I like TikTok. I know I'm old, but I like TikTok. It's more than just teeny bopper content. There's an entire spectrum of things to be ingested on TikTok. But like when the things that you see and you see people talking about, and a lot of these videos pop up, and you see these a lot of women talking about, if he's not doing this, this, and this for you, he ain't real. He's fake, and that kind of stuff. And I feel like people are setting up weird criteria for loyalty now. It used to be you're a loyal person if you were a man of your word, if you were a person of your word. Let's not even make that a gender thing. If you were a person of your word and you carried through with the things that you said, if I say I'm going to do this, I do it, and you're honest and you're true. That was the criteria for being a loyal person, not allowing somebody to abuse you any way that they see fit. That doesn't make you loyal. That makes you a pet,
Interesting, yeah.
And I feel like nowadays there's so many, and the thing is that like I had this conversation, with one of my daughters, where it was like she was talking about, I will say she was having a conversation. I've heard what she was saying, and I asked her some questions, and she was talking about a couple of her little, because she's around, she just turned 13, talking about her friends from school and what they and talking about does this person reciprocate? Does this person do this? Does this person do that? They're fake because they don't do this. And I'm like, that's not how that works. That is not how that works. Somebody isn't beholden unto you just because you decide that's the way that it is. A person who has any sort of empathy, and you care about a person, you're aware of their situation. Sometimes people can't do things. Sometimes people can't. I can't be on the phone with you all night. I got homework I got to do. My mother doesn't want me on the phone, whatever the case may be, But just because they're not able to stay on the phone with you for hours on end, that doesn't mean they're not your friend. Something happened, The big thing is you better answer the phone when I call, Sometimes you can't get to your phone, There's all sorts of reasons for things, and sometimes it takes, listening to somebody and seeing reasons and understanding, what's happened with them. True, there are people, I'm not saying that every person is genuine and that you meet in this world. Obviously that's not the case, right? But sometimes you got to listen to a person, and make that decision for yourself. And then if you find, that you don't like the answer that you got, it's not for you to then, try to, beat a person into mental submission to get your way out of them. Sometimes you got to just let people ride on the waves, let them go, and, I don't know. This is a subject that's kind of on my heart these days because of some things. I won't get into it because it'll take a lot of time. But people aren't here to serve other people in this life. You know what I'm saying?
Do you mean? Explain.
Like people are not placed on this planet to be to serve other people like that. There's not a person that was born to be my servant or to be your servant or be anybody's servant. People make choices on what they're going to do with their time. If a person chooses to be helpful to you, that's for them to decide. It's not for you to tell them this is what you do or you're nothing, you're garbage to me. And that's I don't know. That's one of these things that you see a lot these days, that if people don't get precisely what they want out of you, you're no good to them at all. They don't want no parts of you.
Well, the reason
and it's maybe that's just me that's seeing a lot of it now, and maybe that's just
reasons. I think one of the reasons why you're encountering that is because we have this Amazon Prime way of thinking with everything, right? When it comes to relationships, you want to be able to keep scrolling left. When it comes to products, you want to be able to get it fast and in a hurry. When it comes to the news that you consume, You even will even look to views that only fit your own. Stacy, what's going on? So when it comes to relationships, people are looking at TikToks, people are looking at Instagram, and they're seeing, we are spoiled, they're seeing views of relationships magnified, perfect, amazing views of things that don't exist. Because if anybody on this phone call has been married for any length of time, in a relationship for any length of time, they're tough, right? Just like jobs are tough. Like nobody, well, man, I won't say nobody, but there's, with every positive, there's a negative. With every negative, there's a positive. But so if you're only watching the highlights, you know, you don't see Kobe shooting in the gym, you'll cancel people really quickly if they don't meet this perfect mold. And what's going to end up happening, what's going to end up happening is you're going to have a lot of people who are probably going to be single. And I even asked this question, off topic, on topic, off topic, on topic. Would you have a baby with somebody just because they were good at sex? Right? Would you actually conceive a child with somebody for the sole, with the only thing that connects the two of you is how good the sex is?
Is this a question you want an answer to?
Yeah, sure. And then I'll put you back on mute and I'll give you the rest of the question. But would you get with somebody off that basis alone?
I mean, that's a hard standard to initiate a relationship. You'd have to have sex with them first to know how good they are at it.
No. But I'm saying, would you have a child with somebody strictly off how good they are at sex?
I mean, no, that's not a criteria for a good parent. Now, I may get somebody pregnant. You know what I'm saying?
But hold on. Let me finish. So most people would not pick somebody they would not have a whole child with somebody just off the basis of sex, right? But then the next question is, well, if you want to get into a long-term relationship with somebody, what type of characteristics would you want them to have? Rad, you can answer this one and I'll keep going. What characteristics would you want somebody to have if you were looking for a wife or a significant other?
If I'm going to be honest with you, that answer's changed over the course of my life. Okay. At this point in the game, right now, at this point in the game, the thing that will keep me with a person is do I feel genuine, sincere love from them? Okay. You know what I mean? Like, do I actually feel like this person loves me? Do I feel like my life is complementary to theirs? Do I feel like, am I good for them? Not are they good for me? Am I good for them? Because the thing is that,
responsibility, things like that.
Oh, that's part of it, though. If you're good for somebody, your lives your quality of your life tends to improve if you two are a good team together. You tend to you communicate well when it comes to bills. You have kind of similar work ethic. You respect each other's hustle. If one of you trips, the other one runs twice as hard to make sure you stay at level. And it's one of those things that happens and it's unspoken.
Wondering woman said, are they interesting, smart, dependable, and responsible, right? Now I'm phrasing it this way for a certain reason. The first question, would you have a baby with somebody because of sex? And then the next question is, well, what characteristics are you looking for, or would you look for in a potential spouse? The interesting part is when I ask people those two questions, the answer is always no. And then the second one is smart, dependable, can I trust them? No one ever brings up fun. No one ever brings up how good they are in the sack